Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV for a little dose of daily news. We're going to be discussing a few things. Jurgen Klopp's done his pre-match press conference for Crystal Palace at the weekend. We've got some injury news and updates on the likes of Daniel Sturridge, Robertson, Nathaniel Klein, and we've got an update on the Phil Coutinho situation, which I'm sure you're all incredibly tired of discussing by now, as am I. But there's some, I want to say positive news, positive relatively speaking, of course. There was some stuff that broke last night from the Barca camp, and that has been absolutely shut down today. So I think it's quite interesting, so I'll come on to that in a moment. But let's get through it then. Jurgen Klopp was delivering his press conference. He was asked about Daniel Sturridge. Now, apparently he is back in training. He said he completed a full training session yesterday, I believe he said, which means he's in contention for the weekend. But the note of caution that, of course it's because it's Daniel Sturridge, is that you need to see with an injury, you need to see how these things develop and what have you. But for one, I think that's a great piece of news. If you consider whether we can still look at it this way, of course, but Daniel Sturridge is a senior member of Liverpool's squad. He's a very, very good footballer. Liverpool are a better team, or at least a better side, for having him available on a match day. And for me, if you turn to a Liverpool substitutes bench and you've either got Daniel Sturridge or Divock Origi on it, I think you'd rather have Daniel Sturridge there all day long, provided he's fit and capable of influencing the football match, of course. So I want thoughts on the Daniel Sturridge stuff, and obviously thoughts on anything Jurgen Klopp's discussed in the press conference. I've got your comments live here, and I'll be going through some of them. Some of them I absolutely will not be going through. Just to clarify, people like Sam King, for example, you know what you've written. But yeah, some other interesting stuff. So it would have been, it was asked towards the back end. Glenn Price, I think he's at ESPN these days, asked about Andy Robertson, saying, look, he's not been involved in the match they scored the first two games of the season. Is everything okay there? And basically what Jurgen said along the lines of a couple of things that were interesting. He started very much by saying he's a really good player, which I think is really encouraging, because he doesn't have to say that. He could just say, yeah, look, he's fine, he's getting on. But he goes out of the way to say how much he's liked him and he's been impressed by him so far, which I think is great. But also says, because he came a little bit later, he's got to adapt and he's got to get used to the style of play, whatever, which I think is kind of fair play. Obviously, plenty of people clamouring for him off the back of Moreno's performances so far this season. I think Moreno's been all right, but it tells you that maybe he's using them almost as cover to some extent while he gets Robertson up to speed. Don't be surprised if when he comes in, he comes in and stays in, if that makes sense. Again, good that he's reiterating how good he is, but also saying that, yeah, the problem is that he's a specialist, and the problem with specialists is you don't necessarily have a specialist left back on the bench. So the problem is you're either in the side, or often you can simply just not be involved in the matchday squad if you've got very much one position in the team, which I think is quite interesting. Obviously, a lot of this is tempered by the fact that clearly James Milner is back into consideration for the centre mid positions. We saw how effective he was coming off the bench against Hoffenheim. So yeah, very interesting stuff nevertheless. Interesting. There's a lot of people talking about Saka in the comments. I'm so bored of talking about Mamadou Sakho. Stephen Northover with a super chat of £2. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Kieran Joyce says, want to see Robertson start over Moreno soon. Moreno's improved, but still can't forgive him for the Europa League final. Yeah, I know. Fine. Yeah, I get that. It's easier for me to hold grudges against players that don't play for Liverpool anymore, I think, in some regards. The fact that he does play for Liverpool, like I said, yes, questionably, you can question his defensive ability. Of course you can. Look, he's this big and he's not amazing at defending. But some of the stuff I thought he did in the opposition half, supporting the attack and getting in the box and all that, I thought he was really, really good against Hoffenheim, his attack and play. And it's very easy to go, yeah, of course, it's the attack and play, but he can't defend. It's dead easy to write off all the things he does well. But I think they're sort of there or thereabouts. He's not a great left back by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah. Joe Boardman saying, what do I think about Seri? I did this on the news show the other day. It keeps being mentioned. I think the Echo Live blog mentioned it again today. The thing that concerns me over him is obviously mentions of that he doesn't like cold weather and he gets really sore in cold weather. Well, to be fair, Liverpool's quite mild. It's not like he's living in Sheffield, because when it's cold in Sheffield, it's bloody cold. So he'll probably be all right, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, keep your comments coming in on Robertson and on Daniel Sturridge. The big stuff. Oh yeah, sorry. So Klopp talked about transfers in general. And I thought what was really funny, and you can see how bored he's getting with all this stuff, but he was asked about the transfers, and will be any more transfers, and he said, unfortunately, my English is not good enough to give 500 different answers to the same question, which I thought was boss, because he keeps reiterating his stance. Now, what I thought was interesting, the Echo Live blog went with this, and I watched the press conference back, and one of the great lines from it, that I think you'll probably see all around Twitter now, and people will probably be going mental over, is Klopp basically saying, if the window shut yesterday, we've got a team to play football. And he says, and I like my team, and I like the players we've got. Now, taken out of context, that looks like, and the way it was actually framed on the Echo Live blog was very much like, this is Jurgen Klopp saying, well, if I'm happy with the team I've got, as though he's not interested in further transfers. He actually said prior to that, listen, I'm looking at players. He said, when I'm not focusing on the match or recovery or training and blah, 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 I'm still getting home and looking at this stuff. I'm still spending time looking at this. Liverpool are still looking at transfers. But he does go on and say, obviously there's difficulties there's difficulties of things left, right and centre, blah, blah, blah. Nothing definitive. There's nothing new that we're hearing here. But I just thought it was interesting that a few people chose to highlight him, that his kind of... The fact of the matter is, what he's effectively saying is, look, I've got a good team. I've got some good players. I like them. We'll be fine. We've got a team we can put out that's perfectly capable of playing football. And in that regard, he's not dead concerned, and he's not dead arsed about it. But he does say, of course, we're looking for more players because we're always looking to do things to improve the squad, which is just it's a non-story effectively. But yeah, in fact, just actually getting back to some of the things that I mentioned there, Tango Stylus play Alberto left mid. If we played that kind of formation, I'd agree, but I don't think you're taking Sadio Mane off left wing to put Robertson and Moreno there, because as much as I think he's a very good attacking fullback, he's not good enough to be a winger, because he doesn't really have enough of the end product in the top end of the pitch. But I think he causes real problems in a wing back type sense. I think causes real issues, and it's great to have someone who's naturally left-footed who can go over on the outside, and we saw that, and that's the positives in that regard. I want to drink bleach, says I'd test Robinson. Paul Robinson, presumably, I don't know, but Robertson, I think I would be interested to test him too. But similarly, again, I want this guy to be ready. Klopp's very stringent on what he wants from players in terms of fitness, in terms of tactical understanding, so it might take a little bit longer to get it. And if it pays dividends in the long run of the season, sound as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, okay, so Segura, I think it's Pep Segura, I'm right in saying, from Barcelona, came out last night, and his quote was that they are close. They're close to the deal. In fact, I've got the exact thing here. Let me just get it up so I can go verbatim. And I say verbatim, it's not a long statement, but it is what he said nevertheless. He basically what he said, because I'll be honest with you, storage is full on my phone. Anyone's got an Android phone and the storage gets full, and you want to look at your pictures, it tells you that your storage is full, which is shit, because I just want to look at the photos that I've got. Let me see if I can find it though. He does say that. No, just let me look at my pictures, you fucking arsehole. Yeah, anyway, bollocks. He says that he says the deals for Dembele and Coutinho are close. What's been great about this subsequently, and I'm now going to have to go find it directly because I can't find it in my fucking pictures, that got people worried, and of course it does, because this is the thing that's got us all quaking on our boots, and it's got us all, let's be honest, basically touching upon depression with the whole Coutinho saga and Liverpool's transfers in general, is how certain Barcelona have sounded with all this stuff. Like, by all accounts, they booked Coutinho's unveiling. They booked it and they were telling the media it's going to be happening on Friday, and then it doesn't happen. The certainty with which they discuss this stuff has got people in a tiz, and rightly so, because I remember this happening with Gaston Ramirez. I remember being told unequivocally from people within the club Liverpool would not be signing Gaston Ramirez, but there was so much stuff going around the internet at the time that I was terrified to put that out there, because it looked so likely with all the stuff that was being said around social media and what have you, that I was like, there's no point in me saying it, because it looks so likely. I don't want to make an arsehole of myself. And that's the problem with this, is Barcelona talking very, very unequivocally about this stuff, and it's making it hard to believe. But Guillem Balaguer has said stuff about it, and I'm definitely going to find it any second. I am flying down his mentions, and of course he's got half his tweets in Spanish, which makes it dead hard as well. Here we go. Yes. When Guillem Balaguer, Spanish reporter, quite good with all this stuff. When last night Pep Segura, FCB general manager, was talking about deal is close, I'm pretty sure he meant only Dembele. Segura knows Liverpool haven't moved an inch on their position on Coutinho. They are not selling. Will they be able to maintain it till the end is therefore the big question. Despite the insistence of Catalan press, FC Barcelona have nothing to do with that, by the way, about meetings this week, nothing is planned between Liverpool and Barcelona, and there was a slightly earlier one as well, where he said, no matter what the Catalan press say, 48 hours, Liverpool will put a price on a meeting soon. Liverpool insists not for sale. In fact, no meetings planned. No price has been put on Coutinho right now. Liverpool do not wish to sell. And I believe there is another one, effectively, where he just says, Coutinho will keep trying whatever it takes to go to Barcelona, but Liverpool insists he's not for sale, and Coutinho's transfer request does not change the definitive stance of the club. They do not want to get rid of him. Klopp's words interpreted as him resign to losing him, but he's actually confirming that he's not for sale. Not everybody wants to listen. So this good stuff, and again he just goes on and says that Segura's basically just being a bit of a chancer by all accounts in the way that he's portraying this stuff. So again, we've done a lot of this. Chris and I have just done the podcast for this week. There will be one of two free podcasts going up on Acast and around iTunes and what have you. But we talked a lot about this and why people are are fearful and why we do feel so fearful and wild about stuff. Very, very interesting stuff, and it gives our take a lot more clearly on this. But I would say it's very easy to fall into the trap of negativity on this one, because inevitably the fear still exists that ultimately FSG will do something that will make us all really upset about it, because they've done stupid things in the past. But as it stands right now, as we say in there, you've got very respected people inside and outside the club saying that he's not for sale. So I would personally switch off to any of the Coutinho to Barcelona stuff. By all accounts, he is genuinely injured. We'll know the truth on that in the weeks to come. If he's miraculously available for selection the second the transfer window closes, that will look suspicious without a doubt. But there you go. So again, I've had loads of people asking me, who would you replace Phil Coutinho with? I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not going to waste my headspace and my time and my emotions on it, and I don't think anyone else really should do at the moment. But let's talk about it in a general sense. But I've heard a lot of people saying, like, again, you got Liam Conway saying, actually don't mind us selling him as long as we bring in good enough replacements. But again, that feeds into the fear. We've struggled to do that in the past. People do tend to, I'll qualify that with when we sold Fernando Torres, people remember that January transfer window weirdly now because Andy Carroll was a bit shit. But, you know, the Suarez and Andy Carroll, Andy Carroll, big money was spent on him. There was no fear of spending the money that was brought in from Torres on someone that was, was maybe considered a bit of a gamble. I would expect similar to happen again. Similarly, the Suarez money was spent. Similarly, the Sterling money was spent. And in time, we've proven okay. But, yeah, it is a tough situation, nevertheless. Just on that, a few people have obviously mentioned Lanzini from West Ham. William Raymond, as his say on that, says Lanzini suck massive balls. Not good enough, Jack. Presumably he's talking to someone called Jack. But yeah, Stephen Kemp talking about Coutinho. He only signed a 5-year contract in January. If he wants to go, he should have said that. Yeah, that again, I get it. And I think we're right to be a bit upset with Phil Coutinho and the way he's done this, to be perfectly honest. It's tough for us as football fans who completely and utterly adore the football club, and the idea of behaving like that seems weird and alien to us. Maybe it's just a bit of age and a bit of wisdom to some extent, and I have very little. I have a fair amount of one and a little bit of the other, making decisions on which they are. But as a human, I get his decision. I get I get footballers agitating for moves. I do. But it doesn't mean I have to 100% agree with how it's been done. I think the way it's been done is shit, basically. So I agree with people getting wound up by him. But ultimately, here's the thing. You know what's happening right now with Phil Coutinho is all these people calling him a snake and calling him a dickhead and calling him names left, right, and centre. It's kind of like if you have if you get drunk and split up with your bird while you're out on a night out, and then you go on Facebook and start calling it a slag, and then in the cold light of day you wake up and realise it was fine. and you're back together again. But you've got that thing hanging over you of the fact that you said a lot of things that you couldn't take back. So I would say keep it wound in on Phil Coutinho, because let's be honest, ultimately, what would you rather have? A player of Phil Coutinho's quality that did something that was a bit shit and that annoyed you, or potentially no one. I'd take that all day. I'd take swallowing with pride on Phil Coutinho and just having a boss player next season all day long, but thoughts in the comments below, of course. Last couple of comments quickly then. Michael Cook, why aren't Barcelona being investigated for the clear tapping up of Phil Coutinho? Because again, that's how business is done. I think Southampton have been naughty on it, if I'm perfectly honest. Liverpool probably went a bit too far, but here's the thing, this happens across the board, and the point is, if Liverpool start grassing people up for tapping up, then more people grass Liverpool up for tapping up, and all of a sudden the way business gets done has to change, and people maybe don't want to conduct business with Liverpool, etc, etc. It's a house built on sand is the way transfers are conducted. It's not a very stable situation, and people would do right to let's mix our metaphors. People shouldn't rock the boat. There you go. Okay, sound. Luke, overall, 100% fit Sturridge or 100% fit Firmino. I think 100% fit Firmino for how we play, but having 100%, being able to bring Firmino off with 15, 20 minutes to go and bringing 100% fit Daniel Sturridge on would be a wondrous situation for Liverpool to be in. Derek Ryan, hi Paul, how are you? What is your prediction for Saturday? I think Liverpool will win, and I think we'll win quite well. Palace will have a bit of a sting in the tail after losing the first game of the season. I think we've got a little bit of a point to prove, a couple of changes, having the home crowd behind us, buzzing to get back to Anfield and watch some footy as well. Been great the last couple of games. Hoffenheim's amazing and I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we get a situation where Palace struggle because they're trying to change too much too soon under the bear, and we just slap them down. That would be lovely. It would be nice to end a little bit of recent hoodoo that Palace have had over us, to be perfectly honest. Yes. JB, we should try Salah on the left and Manny on the right. Maybe I think we'll see that as the games progress and what have you. So have you seen anything interesting in the comments?
Loads of people saying get Draxler.
Yeah. Draxler, I would have covered that if I'm perfectly honest, but I'm not sure it's a genuine piece of Liverpool news. There's talk that he's not wanted by PSG. There's also talk of Hooverdes, is it Haverdes from Schalke, German defender, being available as well. If both of those guys are available and you could get both of them for sub 60 million quid, which is almost being talked about, yeah, just go, you know what, just finally definitively find out if the other bits that we're interested in are not happening, and then go and sort them off. That would make me very happy. Anything else?
Goldilocks 307 says if Phil watched the game last night, then he wouldn't want to leave. Barca got dicked.
That, or he'll think I might be the guy to sort this all out. We just don't know, do we? One more, Si, and then we'll go.
Would you be happy with Milner starting in midfield to replace Hendo for Palace?
I don't think he would.
Cop King, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think he would replace Hendo in the directions. I think you'd move Emre Can into the holding, and you'd move Milner into one of the attacking midfield slots. And yeah, I just think Henderson, he looks like a guy who's missed a lot of football, is how he looks at the moment. And whether he's capable of playing this many games in this shorter space of time, this soon into coming back to fitness, I don't know. He's not looked good the first 2 games of the season. I don't think it would hurt to bring James Milner in. I think James Milner looked really good coming off the bench. I think Emre Can's looked good so far this season. This is the thing about having a squad, though. So, yeah, I got no problem. I like James Milner, and I would like to see him get some games for Liverpool back in midfield, because he'll have a point to prove. Emre's got a point to prove, and then that would give Jordan Henderson a point to prove, and I think that competition could be very good for us. Right, thanks. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your super chats. Thanks for everything so far this week. It's been great. Thank you all for watching the Hoffenheim content as well. The build-up shows out. Chris is going to be live. I'm pointing there because that's where he'll be, but it won't matter to you. He's going to be doing starting 11. That will be coming out moment. Is that out now?
Minutes.
Starting 11's coming out. He's going to be live reacting to his starting 11. So if people wanted the separation of the starting 11 show and all the chat and biff that Chris does as well, that we love so much, you can do now. Starting 11's there, and there's going to be a starting 11 reaction where he talks to you and gets your thoughts on things like first goal scorer as well. So that's very, very good. Normal build-up content out, of course. And as ever, I say this a few times, and I'll continue to say it all season long, because I think the stuff that we do on the website is absolutely brilliant. If you're just into podcasts, we're doing 5 exclusive podcasts every single week behind the paywall. If you're into the video stuff, there's the video equivalents. There's loads of amazing stuff. If you like the Redmen TV and you support the Redmen TV, become a Redmen TV supporter, £5 a month. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, don't worry about it. This free stuff will always be free. But yeah, thanks very much. Go to theredmentv.com/join. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you just want to support this. Show your support for this if you can't be asked to do the thing by subscribing to this channel. Thanks for watching. Check out the starting 11, and I will see you back here post-match after Crystal Palace.